Okay, this is our first of a four-part series to get you all thinking about this 300 squat challenge that we're about to do for the month of April. And it's going to be 10 squats a day for 30 days. And the Facebook page and the rules, or not the rules, but like the way we kind of hope to see this go is challenging yourself, but also creating some consistency in our not so normal lives. So a lot of you are going to be coming to this challenge with, I can do really heavy squats, or I've never really squatted that well in my life, or I'm coming back from an injury. So we want to think a little bit about what the squat stance looks like. And for some of you who've been squatting for a long time, this is a good time to evaluate whether your squat's been good, right? We can kind of creep into old habits, or kind of creep into the mentality of like, I just got to kind of get these squats done and get back to the next thing. We have more time than we've ever had in our lives to kind of slow things down. And so I encourage you to slow down your squat and think about it if it's actually a really good squat or not, okay? So when we teach in a big classroom, or I'm teaching with youth athletes, one of the kind of tricks we do to get people under their normal or natural squat stance is I have them kind of just lightly jump for a few reps and then land where their feet naturally land. And pretty much every time, barring maybe a few adjustments, you're probably going to be in your really good normal squat stance, okay? It's not too narrow, it's not too wide. I think I find that when people kind of overthink or looking at people around them, they want to get into someone else's squat and not their own. So jump around a few times, land wherever your feet land, and you're most likely in your squat stance. That might have been a little bit narrower for me, but you'll kind of have to adjust. And then think about where your feet and the angle of your hips are, so next time you go to do a squat, you'll feel like you can get into shape really well. So something that we want to think about here is, a lot of people are like, okay, your toes have to be facing forward, your toes can't be kicked out, your knees have to do this, your knees have to do that. There's a few principles that we want to think about when we're squatting, okay? Everyone's built differently, torsos are different lengths, femurs are different lengths. We're all just built differently, so our squats are going to feel a little bit different and look a little bit different. We just need to make sure there's a few things that we're doing. We need to think about our knees are over our toes, okay? And so when we go to squat down, that knee needs to be directly over that toe. We don't want it faced in like this. That might be too wide of a squat, or the squat might feel too hard. We'll see the knees cave in. We also want it kicked out too far, although I'd rather it be out a little bit too far rather than in, okay? We don't want the knee way over the toe. That usually has to do with a really narrow stance, and the knees kind of track over the toes. We don't want it super wide, okay? And this is really hard to keep our knees over our toes. So knees over the toes. Our feet can be kicked out a little bit, okay? They might not be like this, but they don't have to be straight. I don't know where that comes from, but someone's still preaching that gospel, and it's just not true, okay? You can have your feet kicked out a little bit, okay? It's probably gonna actually feel pretty natural and good for the most of you. So I jumped up a couple times, I landed in my stance, my feet are kind of kicked out at, I don't know, 10-ish degrees, maybe less by a few degrees. I'm gonna use my hands kind of as a counterweight. I've got a nice tall spine. My hips are going just below or at knee level, and I'm coming back up, okay? And so there's also a lot of core stability and strength involved in the squat to actually get into that position in hip flexor mobility, without kind of leaning forward to kind of get down and get into that squat. So some of you might feel like you can't get into this nice squat because you feel like you're gonna fall forward, and that's why you're leaning, or fall backwards, that's why you're leaning forward. Okay, so some of you might need to grab onto a tree outside, a door frame, someone that you're actually living with, where you can actually maybe hold on to them. Maybe not your friend because of social distancing measures, but anything you can grab onto. Some of you have TRX straps. You can get super creative. If you can hold onto something so you can maintain the shape and then be able to come back up on your own strength, that's better than just doing these kind of half squats the whole time, okay? So really, again, you have more time than you've ever had in your life to actually work on your squat, even if you've been squatting for a really long time. A lot of you novices coming into this, yeah, you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna figure out where your squat stance is and where it needs to feel for this challenge. But The squat stance is super important. It's really, really essential that you learn the movement and do it well before you start to make it harder, say through the middle of this month or in the end of this month. I would much rather see all you athletes finish and do your 300 squats working on perfect form than putting a single weight or any weight in your hand for the whole month. So, review. Find your stance, jump around. Toes can be kicked out a little bit. For some people it might be in a little bit, some people might be a little bit more turned out. Make sure there's some space. Your knees stay over your toes the whole time. Hips just to about knee level or just below. Your back is nice and neutral. You're not slumped forward, okay? Grab onto something if you have to. And sometimes you might have to kind of pull yourself out of position if you don't have that squat strength yet. Let's work on it. Get to work.